And we're back for another episode of this podcast that we do for whatever reason.
I just don't know. We're compelled.
I'm compelled.
Yeah.
You're compelled. We're both compelled.
We're both compelled.
Yeah. How many compels? How many compel? Is it? What's the verb of compelled? If you were to verb it.
To verb it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it would be the same. We have been compelled.
Yeah. The compel. Yeah. 28 compels later.
28 compels later. 28 years compelled. That's how long we're going to do this for.
Hey, tell you what. If I had 28 cents every time I heard that,
I'd have a lot of American money for some reason. Oh, it's too early in the morning, mate.
How is it too early in the morning? You got up at 6.
I was up before that.
4?
Yeah,
that's way too early.
Before that, about 5 o'clock.
No.
Plus point though. Look, I've brushed my teeth. See, video.
Wow. Oh, look at that. Oh, I could smell it all the way from over here.
Yeah.
You used Oral B. Oh no, I took a guess. Aquafresh.
I don't actually know. I just use whatever's in there.
Sensodyne. How many toothpastes do you know?
Whatever scum I can find at the bottom of the mug where I keep my toothbrush. I just brush it up, and then I make sure I flick it off at the end.
Yeah. Lather it a little bit. Get that little foamy goodness. Lather. I heard somewhere that there are some dentists who are recommending not even using toothpaste.
Really?
They said you don't actually need to use it. It is just a thing that I guess the dental industry have used to make money or what. Like apparently fluoride, which is in toothpaste, doesn't actually do anything to your teeth. In fact, it actually rubs off the enamel of your teeth. So you're brushing your teeth with toothpaste when you can just be brushing your teeth without anything.
In these times, my mind went straight to these like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sponsored.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Oh, maybe. Who knows?
Because fluoride's in the water, isn't it, as well, in tap water? They add it too. But not too much. Don't be afraid. Anyway, I don't use toothpaste. As I established, I use the scum at the bottom of the cup where I keep my toothbrush. Sometimes it bubbles up and blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it just moves by itself and tries to escape. Yeah. But either way, it's going on my teeth.
Is it kind of like flubber? Is it like brushing your teeth with flubber?
Yeah, but like extra fangs, like as opposed to like family friendly. Yeah. But it goes right in there and it's fine. Yeah.
So vlubber with a V.
Yeah, vlubber.
He wants to vlubber your teeth.
Watch out for vlubber. Coming this vlubber.
What famous action hero does that sound like?
Only in Venomars.
That's Jean-Claude Van Damme, or is that that's not like Arnie, is it?
No.
What is that? What does Jean-Claude Van Damme sound like?
This is mock Transylvanian. Jean-Claude Van Damme is Belgian.
Oh, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
The muscles from Brussels.
Yeah. The muscles from Bristles.
Bristles.
Ooh. And on that note, I think we should jingle out of here. Jingle all the way. My name is Leslie from Chatting Pitch. 1/2, in fact. And you...
I'm the other half. I'm Matthew D. Smith, the other half of Chatting Pitch. Which one of us is chatting? Which one of us is pitch? It's the question that everyone wants to know the answer to. We're not going to tell you. We're not going to tell you the secret.
No, we could be both. We could be both.
At the same time. Things can be multiple things at the same time, right?
Exactly.
I think that's what people forget these days. Like, one thing can be two things.
If you put two things together, it could even be 4 things.
Yeah.
2 plus 2. If Barney the dinosaur has taught me anything, 2 plus 2 is 4.
2 is 4. And if you take 2 things, put them together, you can make a sandwich.
That's good. That's good.
If you cut it into triangles, you've got 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does That's such a dumb thing. 2 pieces of bread make 1 sandwich, but if you cut it in half, it becomes 4. Well, they become smaller, but technically, yeah, it'll become 4 slices of bread, right?
Yeah, I guess 4 slices of bread, but only 2 sandwiches.
Yeah.
And then every time you cut it in half again, it's never going to catch up.
What is this? I don't even know.
What are we talking about?
Numbers confuse me. And you know what else has numbers in them?
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah? Days.
Yeah. February.
Days have numbers.
February has a number of
February
days.
has how many days? So let me ask you this. Did the first movie...
28.
28. Did the first movie end in January? Is that why it's 28 days later?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, so
we
maybe
just skipped February.
It started in February. And then it got to March.
Right. Okay. So, if you haven't guessed already, we're talking about a movie that just came out called 28 Years Later. And it is, in fact, a sequel to... Well, I guess in a way it's a direct sequel to 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, they're kind of dodging the sequel a little bit. The 28 weeks later
what was 28
sequel.
weeks later? Where was that set? Was that set in
28 weeks later, yeah.
Britain?
I think it was in London still. Have you seen both of those?
I saw 28 weeks later once, ages and ages ago.
Oh, you cut out there.
Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, I saw it
Are you still here?
years and years and years ago.
The first one or the second one?
The 28 weeks later. 6 months after the virus, the US Army helps to secure a small area of London, but not everything goes according to plan. So that's 28 weeks later, which I think was, if I remember it being fine, like perfectly serviceable.
Sorry, a second. The connection's gotten really bad.
Yeah,
that's very
just
strange.
Came up with a message saying try to reconnect. Can you hear me and see me now?
I can hear you, but it's done the same thing on your end where you're all choppy. But I can just about make you out, so
okay,
it's fine. The audio seems fine now.
Yeah. Okay, it's saying I'm still connected and all that jazz.
Oh, there we go. It's come back now.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, could you just repeat what you said again?
So anyway, I saw 28 weeks later a fair number of years ago. I think when it first came out, and I remember it being fine. It was serviceable.
Yeah.
I suppose it was a bit like the other Jeremy Renner sequel when he did like Jason. What was it?
Jason Bourne.
The Bourne Legacy.
Yeah.
Again, fine.
I never watched that, to be honest.
I much preferred 28 Days Later. I found it a bit more. There's a bit more emotion to it.
Yeah, so I kind of watched those two back to back right before watching 28 Years Later.
Okay.
And it's kind of like night and day, isn't it? The first one is very much lo-fi, shot on a handheld camera that you would have used
deliberately a bit grungy. Yeah.
Yeah, your film studies class type camera type thing. But no, you were saying you much preferred 28 Days Later over 28 weeks.
Oh, yeah, because people remember it as, I guess with Zack Snyder's, he remade Dawn of the Dead, didn't he? Around the same time. And those were the two that sort of brought fast zombies to the mainstream.
Quick on their feet.
And people remember that. And,
they're going to get you.
I really liked your idea last week where you were coming up with a zombie that just... I'm not getting paid enough for this. Like, almost, he's like staring at the alpha, like I'm gonna call my union, man. I gotta.
Yeah. Well, I don't think zombies get paid enough. Anyway, so we
except those alphas in management.
Speaking of alphas,
talk is all they do.
Yeah. So, speaking of talking, let's talk about this 28 Years Later movie.
Go on then.
That was directed by none other than Danny Boyle, the original 28 Days Later director. He is back with writer Alex Garland, who is famous for many hit movies of the last, I don't know, however many years he's been knocking them out of the park. You got your Ex Machinas, you got your Annihilations, you got your, what was the most recent one he did? Not Warfare, but the other one, Civil War. That's it. He did
Yeah,
Civil
Warfare
War.
was the most recent, though.
That was the most recent one that I haven't seen, but you have.
Ah, okay.
Good?
No, I haven't seen Warfare. Civil War was the last one. All of his films, I do have to say, I come out trying to decide, did I like that?
Really?
Yeah.
I came out of watching Ex Machina, really loving it, and I came out of Civil War really liking it. Not loving it, but really liking it. Okay. Annihilation, I am not sure. Because Annihilation, it was very high concept and also towards the end quite ambiguous. And I just kind of thought, I'm not sure if that was...
Okay.
I didn't find myself being like, oh my goodness, what a great piece of art. I found myself more confused and pondering, and also his movies are very slow and bleak. And they have a very kind of like early Denis Villeneuve type vibes to it.
I liked what Annihilation was reaching for.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it succeeded in actually grasping it.
Sure. But hey, we're not here to talk about Alex Garland's movies that he's directed. We're talking about the one that he's most recently written. And they were quite a tag team back in the day. They were Danny Boyle writing, Danny Boyle directing, Alex Garland writing. And they're back 28 years later, which is ironic because it's actually 23 years later since the first movie.
Yeah.
They should have waited. They should have waited another 5 years.
Yeah. Because then I could have gone out the cinema saying, this is good now.
Anyway, who cares about that?
Yeah.
What is the movie about, sir?
What is the movie about? Okay, so we start off with a little prologue with a kid who, it's a bunch of kids, quite a piece of dark humor where it's the start of the rage virus sweeping through England. Well, the whole of Britain, really. Is it like Ireland and England, Wales, and Scotland?
I think it's all of UK. Yeah. I think basically.
Anyway, whatever. It's a bunch of kids in the living room watching Teletubbies. Within a moment or two, you realize that they're all terrified, and you realize, oh, okay, this is the start of the rage virus, and they've just been plonked. They're like, watch this, and the adults are in the other parts of the house just trying to secure the place, I guess. And then this prologue, needless to say, it doesn't end well.
Mm-hmm.
But then it cuts to 28 years later.
Yeah.
And then you have this isolated community who live on a sort of island. It's a sort of island in that every so often when the tide goes out, there's a natural land bridge that connects it with the mainland. And then when the tide comes back in, that bridge disappears and it becomes...
Have you seen those before? Wild.
I've heard about
them.
I've never been to one, but...
Yeah, there's one called like St. Michael's Mount. I think it's on the coast somewhere in England. I can't remember if it's South Coast or North Coast. I think it's South. But yeah, it's this big castle, and you can only get to it when the tide's low.
Oh, okay.
So when it's high, it's like, yeah, not
and there's
allowed.
still a 17th century king there, like, invaders.
Get off my lawn.
But he's got an iPhone.
Get off my moat, is what he says. Yeah. No, go ahead.
No splashing in the moat. No diving.
So yeah, they're in this island.
Yeah, they're in this island. Yeah, it cuts to I can't remember the characters' names now. Cuts to
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yes, Aaron Taylor Johnson as Jamie.
Yeah. And the kid's name is Spike, I remember.
Who is the father of Spike.
Yeah.
Spike played by I'm trying to find it now. IMDb. Alfie Williams.
Yep.
Who I'd like to mention because he's pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
Outstanding. So, I remember I saw an interview recently of Danny Boyle and he said, wow, these child actors are getting better, aren't they? And then I remember watching 28 days later thinking, wow, this child actor stinks. Geez, not very good. And then, they probably have. They probably the government's funded more, given them more funding, more time to act. I don't know. Injected that acting super serum into these children. Yeah, that's what it is.
Before it was all just pumped into Daniel Day-Lewis, but now he's retired. It can be spread out over the kids.
he had to retire early because he was just he was overflowing with acting serum.
Became too much, and he just like seeped into the chair that he was sat on.
He's making a comeback. Apparently, he's got a new movie coming out.
Is he making
he's retired
twice
now, Daniel Day-Lewis, and I don't know why he just keeps doing it. Is it retirement,
or is it just that he's taking years between roles, like
hiatus, acting hiatus? Anyway, Spike, yeah, he's great.
It's funny when you mentioned Danny Boyle talking about child actors getting better. The first thing I thought of was Edward Furlong in Terminator 2, saying something like "bite me" or whatever.
Hasta the vista, bite me. So. I'm paraphrasing. Spike. What the actor?
So Spike,
great.
12-year-old Spike, who's
he's learning to become a man.
About to embark, coming of age. Yeah. About to embark on a travel, an adventure,
a road trip.
A road trip. Road trip, baby. That's how Aaron Taylor Johnson says it.
There was one thing I noticed. Road trip, baby. That's what he said to. That's how he directed these kids. One-liners. Mr. Boyle. Mr. Boyle.
Aaron Taylor Johnson was like, I had to keep giving Alfie advice because Danny Boyle would just sit there in a chair going, road trip.
Mr. Boyle, how am I supposed to act in this? Sorry, road trip, baby.
How am I supposed? How much fear should I show when I see the body hanging upside down with blood all over it? Road trip. We've painted Danny Boyle to be an idiot.
No, he's not. He's far from an idiot. He's a great director.
Checks the script by Alex Garland, just as a road trip.
It's just one page.
Exterior.
Or like there's 120 pages. Each page says road trip.
Each one is exterior road trip.
And it just gets scribblier and scribblier.
Spike and Jamie on the road. Oh, okay. Yeah, it gets worse and worse.
Worse and worse. Okay, so... there's
like,
a moment.
Can we find any advice for these character motivations? And then the last page is just a picture of Alex Garland and Danny Boyle on a road trip.
Anyway, so the
so they're on a road trip, and Alfie is taking his first journey from the island.
There's a moment that I noticed before he goes into the mainland journey where he's thinking about bringing an action figure with him, but he leaves it behind.
Yeah,
signaling inside that he wants to become a man. He wants to become a man.
I really liked that little moment.
Yeah. Anyway, they go onto an adventure so he can go hunting. We're not talking about deers. We're not talking about. We're not talking about.
We're not talking about elephants with a big elephant gun and those funny hats.
No, we're talking about people. People with a virus in them. And comparing it to the first one, they're very different now, aren't they? Very different type of zombies.
Perhaps they've evolved.
Some of them are still very fast, but some of them are slow, baby.
Slow and low.
Slow and low.
We call them slow and low. And if you attach a rope to their ankles, you can call them slow, low, and toe. You can just attach things. You could get one person in front of the slow and low, and then they attach all their things to a rope that the slow and low then drags, so they can just carry all your stuff. By far the most useful.
Is there a product that you're parodying called Slow and Low, or have you just made that up on the spot? No,
that's what they're called in the movies. I'm sure that's what they're called in the movie.
Okay, is that what it is? Slow and Low? Is it?
Yeah, Slow and Low or something like that. Oh, and I just advanced it to Slow, Low, and Toe.
I just called them big grey babies. I thought that's what they were. Yes, the big grey babies.
Spike's dad leans in. Okay. Watch out. These are big grey babies. I do.
Were they or were they not big grey looking babies?
They were big grey babies. I'm a bit unsure how to feel though that the film definitely introduced each sort of subtype of zombie. It felt very video gamey to me.
That's what I thought as well. That's what I thought.
Like even I think he must have been inspired. That Spike's dad was saying to him, it was like that's what like a video game character would say to you in a tutorial.
Now, Spike, make sure you press the R1 button to aim. Yeah, it felt very much
Hold
like
space to reload your bow.
reload.
Hold space to reload your bow. Like the game is
Remember
broken every time you fire an arrow. Hold
Yeah.
space to reload your... I know. Give me a second, Dad.
Yeah.
Give me a second, digital dad.
It would make for a good game. Oh wait, they've made plenty of games like this.
Yeah.
Like I think The Last of Us or the God
If
of War.
only there was more multimedia with zombies in.
That's right. Do you think they were inspired? They must have been, video game wise.
I've noticed it creeping into cinema. Mm-hmm. Certain shots or camera movements where I'm thinking this feels video gamey, and not just films that maybe. I think I mentioned it when we talked about Flow.
Yeah,
where some of it felt like, oh, this feels like a video game cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
The occasional shot.
That's what Chatting Pitch Lawyer, aka Chatting Pitch
Lawyer,
one half of Chatting Pitch.
The other half of one half of Chatting Pitch.
That's right. Didn't she say that was distracting for her? The fact that it felt like a video game?
Yeah, she wasn't a fan of the style, and that was part of it, yeah.
Sure. But
yeah,
that was an animated movie. This isn't animated at all. However,
still quite video gamey.
There was a stylistic choice that Danny Boyle had, and it was to kind of capture the same essence as the first movie that was shot on a cheap old camera.
Mm.
So they decided to film it on one of these.
A modular telephonic device.
A modular telephone, yeah. Imagine doing that back in the days when they did 28 Days Later. They were shooting it on a Nokia 3310. And it was...
it would just be like the little blips.
I can't get Snake off this phone.
Like Snake. It would be like Snake, but the Snake would be just like the horde of zombies.
That's right.
Boom.
I'm sure somebody's done that.
Yeah,
somebody's done a movie on a Nokia 3310. Anyway, this movie is very famously marketed as the movie shot on iPhone or multiple iPhones.
I mean,
but
it's
apparently,
it's
not just not the only one.
I quite
shot
liked
on iPhone.
Tangerine was shot on an iPhone. I think.
Was it?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Brett Baker, Bart Baker, what was his name?
Bread Baker, Fart Maker,
Bread Maker,
Bread Maker, Baker.
You know what I'm talking about. The guy who did Anora. That was Tangerine, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, so I don't think
how knowledgeable about film we are.
Yeah.
That we don't know the guy's name, so we just call him Bread Maker, Fart Maker. Who's the Oscar-winning director? Bread Baker, Fart Maker?
Hey, if I listen to this podcast, that's the reason why I tune in, for our lack of film knowledge. So yeah, this movie was they've famously marketed it as that, but I don't think it takes away from it. However, I wish I didn't know it, because most of the time when I was watching a movie, I just kept analyzing shots, thinking, "Oh, that one was shot on an iPhone, wasn't it?"
Oh, okay.
No, that one doesn't look like an iPhone. Oh wait, this bit looks like an iPhone.
This one's more of a Samsung Galaxy. I used a Samsung Galaxy for the wides because galaxies are big.
That's right.
And I used an iPhone for the close-ups because I am small.
I used a Ring doorbell for this one. Bing
bong! The film famously shot on a Ring doorbell.
Hey, if no one's done it, I'm going to do it.
Just an hour and a half of people going...
I've just left your package next to the the bush, the third bush to the left.
And then the zombie attacks them. Ah!
Hey, so did it distract you at all?
They call it the Ring doorbell. Did it distract me? Not so much.
Doorbell. Wow.
There were a couple of shots where I thought, okay, this looks very shot on a film.
Yeah.
Shot on a phone.
Okay.
It's usually when the camera's in motion.
Yeah.
But a lot of the sort of 28 days, 28 years style is quite, I would say it's the shots that are memorable for me are the shots that are actually where the camera is stationary.
Yeah. Oh, there's a gorgeous moment where they're being chased by a zombie.
Oh, yeah, and you see his big swinging penis. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the highlight.
Beautiful.
28 inches later, am I right? Yeah, that's the alpha, baby.
You had to press the button prompts to dodge it.
Yeah. Push D3 to dodge penis.
You hit circle instead of X, and it just no.
You have died.
Retry.
You have selected yes. So the is there anything else that we want to talk about story-wise before we delve into our feelings?
I guess it's his coming of age. He's going across into the mainland to hunt a few zombies. We won't spoil how that one goes, but he's also got a mother played by Jodie Comer who's got a mystery illness, and Spike is pretty determined to figure out what that is.
Yes.
I don't want to say any more.
That's essentially what the movie's about.
Yeah.
I think you kind of know all of this within the first half an hour.
Yeah.
And then it's just a domino effect of things that happen. And it almost feels like to me, and here's where we get into our feelings about the movie. I felt like the movie was 3 movies stitched together. Almost like 3 episodes of a TV show stitched together.
Okay.
At least story-wise and tone-wise as well. That's how I felt. I think the first 2 acts stand alone as 2 separate movies. The third act, not so much. I'll get into that later in spoiler territory. But I will say that I really, really liked it all the way up to a certain point. And that certain point I cannot talk about without going into spoilers.
Okay.
I think this movie has definitely divided audiences. A lot of people have felt like they either love it or they hate it. And I think from what I've heard, geographically speaking, people overseas seem to not like it as much as people who are in England. Okay. Or at least local to
there is
where
a lot
the film
of
is set.
The
references.
Subtext.
Yeah.
A lot of
How did you
Brexit
feel
stuff,
about the movie?
I really enjoyed it. I did think this walking out that I felt not as tense. I didn't feel like it was as tense and as scary as I assumed it was going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because I came in expecting the level that 28 Days Later was for me years ago. Because when I first watched it, I'm still not a big horror guy now, but when I watched it back then, that was like one of the first horror movies I saw. So it was like all the nails like spinning.
That's how you used to. That's how we used to watch movies. Like 20 years ago, we used to watch movies like Looney Tunes characters.
Yeah.
But now,
because that's all I used to watch as a kid. So I was completely influenced by television, not anything else. So
yeah, that's right. I remember 28 Days Later being quite terrifying. Even like, I guess now that we've both matured, things aren't as scary as they used to be.
Maybe, yeah.
But when did 28 Days Later come out? I was, 11 back in then? Or 12? It was 2002, wasn't it?
I think I was early teens when I first saw it.
Yeah. And even then, that was pretty scary. But there was a time, I don't know, I think this happened within the last, 5-6 years or something like that. Even then, I was still terrified of movies that were in the horror genre. But then something clicked and I thought, oh, it's just a movie, isn't it?
Okay.
And I was able to disconnect myself from it. Not saying that I don't give in to the horror, but there are times where I just feel like, oh, this is like a light switch for me, you know? I can just turn it on and just be like, I'm not scared anymore.
It's when you get too scared.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to be scared. And then I just, I flick that Buzz Lightyear switch on the back and then I do this for the rest of the movie.
you sit there like that and go, that was shot on the phone.
I give myself...
That was shot on the phone. That was shot with the camera.
Does anyone else have that? Like the lobotomy switch at the back that just switches off your brain?
Mine broke when I was watching Long Legs.
Anyway...
Nicolas Cage is just a man.
You liked it. You liked it a lot.
I liked it. Yeah, Yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it. I think it hit the emotional beats better than it hit the scary beats.
Okay.
For me, there's a definite two parts to the movie, isn't there?
Yeah.
The second half for me hit a lot harder because it was a lot more emotional, and it reminded me of, there's that one sequence in 28 Days Later where the dad, like, just by pure just bad luck, like not a failure on any character's part, and it's just, that's almost the message of the movie, that now this world is just, it's not that you can be fully prepared, you can do your very best and stuff can still go wrong.
Yeah.
And then you have that bit in 28 Days Later where the dad gets that little drop of blood in his eye and he becomes infected, and he's telling his daughter to run away, and it's quite heart-wrenching, really.
Mm.
And it's
That
similar.
was 28 weeks later, wasn't it? The dad one? Was it?
28 Days Later with
28 Days Later?
with Brendan Gleeson and...
Oh, yes. Okay, sorry. I'm getting confused because I watched them back to back. Yeah, Brendan Gleeson, that bit where he looks up. Oh, man. Terrifying. Yeah. Horrible.
Just bad luck.
Yeah, very, very bad luck.
Yeah.
Could have been avoided.
Yeah.
If he'd just worn some glasses.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. Like, ultimately, really, it wasn't his fault. He looked up and...
That's right.
It's just it's like slipping on a pavement, you know?
Life do be like that sometimes.
Life do be like that.
Yeah. So what rating would you give this before we go into spoilers?
Speaking of ratings, I'm very surprised there's a 15.
Oh, yeah. BBFC. What you on about?
What are you talking
terrifying.
Huh?
You can't just show Big Dong at me and give it a 15.
That should have come up. Violence or Big Dong.
Yeah. I had a nickname for him. It was Dongby.
He's a zombie.
Instead of zombie. Yeah,
he's a dongby. It's that shot of him when he's standing there, like, watching the house, waiting for them to come out, but you just see the dong just swinging in the wind. Like, nothing else moves but his dong and his hair.
Yeah, and you were in the cinema with your arms crossed, and they have the nerve to give it a 15.
It should be an 18.
I'm mad now.
Showing all the kids this. Angry man
rating,
with a big
sir.
chin.
Shall I give my rating first, or shall you give your rating first?
Give your rating.
I give my rating first. Okay. I think it's strange because I felt differently from the first half and the second half, and even to the ending. Okay. I had very, very different. And I guess if I combine them all together, I'd probably give it a chatting pie.
Okay.
Chatting pie, maybe chatting pea. Have we ever done this before? Chatting pea and a half. Chatting pea and half an eye. I don't know. I really, really liked a lot of it, but there are just some things that is just unforgivable for me.
Okay.
And I just thought this really marked it down.
Okay.
And
is this going to be spoiler sort of stuff, or
some of it is spoilers? Another one isn't a spoiler, but I can tell you, like, I don't know if it's in the trailers or not, but it's definitely been in the marketing, and it's a technical aspect of the movie, and it's almost like Danny Boyle had just discovered bullet time from 1999. You know,
but again, very video gamey,
and it just, I felt like it overstayed its welcome.
Okay.
That particular thing, that shot kept repeating, and I liked it for the first couple of times. I was like, oh, that's interesting, and then it just kept happening, and I thought, we don't need to keep doing this, Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
Two's enough.
Okay.
And then also some of the choppy editing as well. Like, sometimes things happen and it was just, maybe they got a bit too carried away in the editing room and said, you know what would be funny? If we showed every angle of this one thing. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I mark it down. And the other reason I can't talk about, but yeah.
Okay. I would give it a solid chatting pie, but I think mine's a happy chatting pie.
Okay.
But I do get what you mean, that I liked it, I didn't love it, and there were a bit, the ending, we'll talk about in spoilers, but the ending is wild.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I marked it down.
Oh, were you not a fan of the ending?
Not really, no.
For me, I think it's what they do with it in the sequel.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I'm happy to take a chance on this.
Let's talk about spoilers.
Let's
then,
talk
'cause
spoilers.
We've given our own
that ending,
ratings now.
boy.
So the ending. Okay. Well, let's talk about like a little
big
bit.
Alpha is dead, but the Dong comes to life and is like, I am your master now.
You know how zombies? Well, I don't know if they call them zombies. One person calls them zombies, and there's the Swedish dude.
Yeah.
He's like, there's a pregnant baby. He's like, oh, this is going to be a zombie baby.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Intentionally annoying. That's all.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that zombie baby though as well.
Yeah.
But go on, Swedish man.
I found the Swedish dude kind of oddly endearing though. I mean, he was annoying, but it also served as a bit of a comic relief.
Yeah.
Because it did suddenly turn into a comedy as soon as he turned up. And there was the very, very funny moment where he was sharing a picture of his girlfriend.
Yes, everyone in the cinema was laughing at that.
Everyone in the cinema was laughing.
What's wrong with her face?
Like, what's wrong with her face? Oh yeah, there's someone in my village who's like that. Who got stung by a bee.
Yeah. But I love that shows. It's kind of sad in a way that it shows that Alfie is still in a way a little kid.
Yes.
He's talking about he's talking to this soldier in the way that a little kid would, where there's like the filter's not quite there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It was quite funny. There was because it's established that everyone outside of the UK, the world's just been going
going
as
on
normal,
as normal.
So you've got smartphones, and I think in one of the other movies you saw like planes going by, and like things were still happening outside of the UK. So he doesn't know anything because he was born on the island. So things like the internet, he didn't understand what it was. Yeah, he didn't understand what the internet was. He didn't understand what a delivery person was. It was very strange, and
what lip filler was,
what lip filler was, what Snapchat was.
Yeah, big grey baby. Instagram.
Follow me at Big Grey Baby 29.
TikTok.
No, Big Grey Baby 28. Yeah. So anyway, enough about the Swedish dude. We wanted to talk about.
Go on.
Hey, we wanted to talk about a
couple of
ending.
big things.
A couple of big things.
Let's
right.
talk
so
zombie
the ending.
baby first. That bit on the train.
Zombie baby. Okay, sure. So the zombie baby
Were you a fan?
can be birthed, and to be honest, I didn't really care. Are we talking about the zombie baby that was given birth by the zombie lady, and then it turns out the zombie baby doesn't have any virus?
It's not a zombie
because
baby
of
at all.
the magic of the placenta.
Yes, I do like how that was explained, because I think some people might think, oh, that's just explained away. But the way that Ray Fiennes' character explains that is very...
Oh, he's a doctor, isn't he?
He is matter of fact, and it's explained in a matter of fact, like, oh, well, is what it is. Like,
you thought Ray Fiennes was the MVP of the movie?
The sequence. I liked that sequence as a whole. So not just him, but that whole bit.
Which I found like was a complete... You know, when I was talking about it was like separate episodes. I felt like that whole Bone Temple thing was his own bottle episode because it felt so different in tone as well to the rest of the movie. In my opinion, it felt like much of drama, and the first one was more like a survival.
I just think it's interesting that all the marketing made him look like a crazy person, like a madman.
Well, but even in the story, they were saying he was a madman.
Yeah, but in the film, he's very much like, oh no, I just cover myself in iodine.
Yeah, well, I think
virus hates it, and
it's a commentary on how we just judge people, isn't it?
Yeah.
You shouldn't judge a book by its cover.
Well, a lot of
especially if they're not covered in iodine.
Yeah, don't judge people just because they're covered in iodine. That's the lesson to take away. But a lot of subtext in this movie that is very... I've heard it said that it's not even subtext; it's just text. Like it's so front and center. Like and again, this is how people overseas maybe don't connect with the movie as well, because there's a lot of stuff in there that, like the portrait of Queen Elizabeth hanging up, and it's this sort of, that island is almost like an ode to old Britain.
Britain.
Oh, we go for a beer and we talk about what my son did.
Yeah.
You know, Billy Big Balls, he did this, and then we go for a pint, and then there's a lot of stuff in there about the unwritten social contracts that we have with each other, just in life.
Yeah.
And how they can so easily break apart, and how even when the unwritten contracts are there and the situation doesn't change, they can still be broken. A lot of the stuff with Spike's mom and dad, and in terms of how people treat each other in this new society on the island, they're trying to recreate this old Britain. Again, portrait of Queen Elizabeth, the flag hanging up, and a lot of the iconography, and the fact that the island is disconnected, and a few references to outsiders, and the way that Spike's dad looks at one of the patrol boats and just goes, "Oh, probably French." Like the way he says it is very dismissive, and it's like, okay, this is like a commentary on what Brexit has done to Britain in a limited way to the UK as a whole.
Sure.
I liked that because it just added something to it. It wasn't just a plain zombie. Because zombie movies are, the best ones are all in the subtext for me.
Yeah. Okay.
All the way from Dawn of the Dead being about sort of mass consumerism and, you know, sleepwalking into where advertisers want you to go to. And then you get the other brand of zombie movies, which is just running around and screaming and gore. And it's like, well, you've forgotten that zombie movies are actually about something. And actually, all the monster movies are about something, whether it's...
Yeah.
What was the...
Like how Godzilla is like
Nosferatu and Godzilla. Right?
Godzilla's the metaphor for the atomic bomb, but now Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
Bang, bang.
Well, that's the big difference between Western Godzilla
and Japanese Godzilla.
Good Godzilla.
Yeah.
Well,
my lord, Godzilla -1. What a film.
The thing is, oh my days, I could go on about that forever. That is amazing.
Oh, it's amazing.
Film. That is a full chatting pitch film. But but when you look at sort of American produced Godzilla, the issue is that American cinema would have to really reflect on what America did when they dropped those nuclear bombs. And American cinema can't seem to do that. So they just turn Godzilla into like, hey, he's a hero, and he.
Well, I think they can.
There's always
do
a
it.
worse monster, and Godzilla fights them. Whereas Godzilla -1 is about like this. This thing is a force of nature. It's not a good guy. It's not even a bad guy. It just is. It's a force of nature.
I think America can do it, but it's just not done by big studios.
Like I guess
Hollywood studios.
It's not done by the studios that would have the money to create something like the more mainstream. Godzilla X Kong. What times Kong? Are you doing basic maths now? But anyway, that's monsters in general.
That's monsters.
Should we talk ending then?
Let's talk about ending. Yeah. I wasn't a fan because it just came out of left field. To be honest, I did laugh when it happened because I thought, hang on a second. So it's been known that Jack O'Connell was going to be in this movie.
I had no idea he was going to be in it.
No? I knew that he was going to be in it because I read some press about it, and he said that he was going to be playing a despicable character. Okay. And boy, is he despicable from our context. Because if you watch it, so I think this is where it divided a lot of audiences, because people in America, or at least overseas anyway, a lot of the reviews have been saying they've been comparing it to the Power Rangers and Ali G.
The and different color tracksuits.
Yeah. So they're gonna so what happens at the ending is Spike, he's about to be killed by a bunch of zombies. He's only got a bow and arrow. He's running out, and then all of a sudden, Jack O'Connell
pops up.
All of a sudden, Jack O'Connell turns up with bright, long, blonde hair, tracksuit, rings on his fingers, chains, a golf club in his hand, and he's like, "Hello, pal."
he's half a breath away from being like, Jim will fix it.
And he basically said, "Hi." And when he said, I just thought, no, they haven't done it, have they? And he goes, my name's Jimmy. And I thought maybe he would have changed his name or something like that. And I know that at the beginning of the prologue, the kid's name is Jimmy. You even see it written on a big building halfway through. And even on the person who's hanging upside down, he's got it says Jimmy written onto his chest. Nowhere in my bingo card did I think they were going to go with Jimmy Savile. And I guess from the character's point of view and in their timeline, Jimmy Savile was never outed as
this is a predator.
Yeah.
I read in an interview, I think it was with Danny Boyle, where they talked about there's a bit in the movie where you see the sycamore tree, which if you're from the UK, you probably heard a little bit about the fact that it was cut down. And in this movie, it's the alternative timeline. Now, I remember the first time the image came up on the screen, I heard people like murmuring, talking about like, that tree should be cut, as if it was like a movie mistake. But then they showed it deliberately, quite prominently a few times. And then you realize, oh, okay, this is supposed to be an alternative timeline. So this famous tree was never cut down. In the same way, like you say, Jimmy Savile was never outed. So to Jimmy, the character, Jimmy Savile is probably like this a
hero to him.
Yeah, this hero. I mean, his whole world has collapsed when he was 8 years old or something. You know, he's quite young. So who does he cling on to? He doesn't cling on to God because of what happened in the prologue.
Well, I remember hearing even Alex Garland, he said that, wow, like he really is like a kaleidoscope of a character, because you've got Jimmy Savile mixed in with like I guess coming full circle into the Teletubbies at the beginning as well, because they're all different colors.
Yeah.
But then also there was a moment where, you know, Power Rangers is part of this universe, because Spike had a little Power Ranger figure at the beginning. So it's like a mishmash of all three.
Yeah.
And also they're ninjas and they're all doing
all doing
backflips.
Yeah.
And
so
they're
totally, I agree with you that it's a massive shift.
It's such a shift. And like even like did you notice the soundtrack as well? It was like a hard punk cover of the Teletubby soundtrack.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it was like Tinky Winky, Dipsy, and I didn't even realize. I had to read a review about it, and I didn't even realize that was the song, because I was just flabbergasted at what I was seeing, because it was such sensory overload of all these different Jimmy Saviles doing backflips and killing these zombies, and I just couldn't believe my eyes. And I think where it loses the point is because I wouldn't have minded if that was the opening scene of the next movie and that was the tone of the movie. But because it tacked on right at the end, it just felt like the end of an episode where they think, coming up next in 28 years later, part 2. Yeah. And it just felt like sequel bait. And I really don't particularly like it unless it's serialized like an Avengers movie where
everyone knows saying it is a bit comic booky.
Yeah.
Both in style and in the fact that they have that at the end.
But I am also torn, because I thought, okay, well, they've done this for a reason, and it is to set up for the next movie. But just, I felt like the whole movie, I was very, I was giving myself into this serious movie that was about, you know, love and death and family, and then suddenly Jimmy Savile Power Ranger just pops up, and it just gave me whiplash, and
too much.
It was a bit too much for me, and it's like giving you a really, really nice meal, and before you finish the last bite, they just swap it out with liver and onions.
Yeah. Or you have a really sort of filling, fancy meal. And then for dessert, you get like a Colin Caterpillar cake.
Hey, I wouldn't complain if that was the case. Or like for dessert, they gave me
soft scoop ice cream.
Not even that. Like, I guess what's the word? Like one of those warhead candies that are really, really sour. Just one of them, not even the whole box, just one of them. Anyway, I didn't like the ending. I don't think I've had some time to think about it, and I don't think I liked it, and that's why
Okay.
some of the. But what about you? What did you think?
I can totally agree. Like in my head, I'm thinking, massive tonal shift that I didn't enjoy. It did feel like it could have been the start of the next movie. I agree with you in my head, but there's just something in me that thought I kind of enjoy
Props
it.
to them.
There's a part of me that's like, I like that they went there.
Okay.
And that part of me is also thinking, okay, if they do something with it in the next movie, whether it's dark comedy or whether it's, they're almost getting into world building being prominent in the viewer's mind, in that you are actively, as viewers, we are actively now thinking about, okay, well, he's dressed up like Jimmy Savile because the Jimmy Savile being outed didn't happen, and he's wearing it. And we're actually thinking about the world that they lived in, as opposed to about Cillian Murphy's character, about Brendan Gleeson, about Spike. We're now thinking about the wider world. So it's almost like a preview letting us know that the second film, the scope is going to be a lot bigger.
Yeah, but I felt like it should have just been a complete movie and not be a teaser for the next movie. But if they were to do that, at least make it a post-credit scene. Like, I felt like him walking up to that bit and then suddenly like being enamored by, he was going off on his own and he needed to, like Spike. He was trying to fend for himself. Just leave it ambiguous. That's what I would have done. And then if you wanted to, because I know that these movies have been shot back to back, by the way, like the first part and the second part, they're in post-production. It's going to be released in January, I think.
Yeah.
So we're not that far off from seeing part 2. But part of me feels like maybe that was supposed to be the opening scene for part 2. But then they thought, no, let's put it at the end. And that's maybe why it was such a tonal shift. I don't know. But that's just a theory. Just a theory. But anyway, I wasn't a fan of that bit. Everything up to that point, I was like, this is great. And the 360 camera, I don't really care for.
Yeah.
That's about it. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that's it review-wise. I don't know if we want to leave it there. Otherwise, we're going to end up with quite a long episode. Should we do a pitch next episode?
We could do a pitch next episode.
Is that all right?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
I'm going to go look after my little boy.
Yeah, I think we
sorry, folks. Leslie has Leslie's charger just came unplugged, I think.
Chatting Pitch has been brought to you by Leslie Way and Matthew D. Smith. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to listen to others and maybe even subscribe. You can follow us on the website, formerly known as Twitter.
Listen to us on Spotify or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Leslie and Matthew have their own side hustles as well. Feel free to check out Leslie's YouTube channel or Matthew's Medium blog. Links in the description. If you want anything else, we might have other links in the description if we think of anything interesting to add. Thank you for listening. I love you.